Good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode number 8 of Two Peas in a Podcast. As usual, we're waiting on a pea. The funny thing is, when we decided to do this podcast, you would have thought I would be the one who would be on time. But I am. What? Keys first. That's because you up extra early this morning. Probably at work. Thank you, Keys, for being the first one in here. He's saying this biatch. Clown scientist, hey Gage, how are you? Hey Melinda. Melinda, have you ever been in here this early with us? Thank you for coming through. Bosa, good morning. Buenos dias, compañero. Hey, Cara Shay. All right, so that's everybody in the chat right now. We're going to wait on Dre, let everybody else come through while we wait on Dre. While we wait on Dre, I just want to start off with just saying thank you to everyone. Over the weekend, Saturday, we had quite a few donations for the cancer walk. So thanks for those who have donated. That was pretty awesome. Today is Halloween, and I'm not crazy about Halloween because of some of the costumes out there. We never really participate in the candy thing. I haven't done that for years. Just because, even as a child, my mother stopped taking us because people started doing weird things like putting stuff in candy. And I don't know if y'all remember when all that kind of stuff happened. But here where I live, it's weird. We're probably the youngest couple in the area, probably the youngest couple on the street for sure. And you do not see a lot of children. And if you do see children, it's normally children visiting their grandparents and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. I don't have to worry about kids feeling left out or anything like that. So to kick off our topic for today is effective handling techniques and effective communication with your animals, and understanding that just because it's a reptile, that all reptiles don't like the same things, and most of us know that. I mean, even if you have one species of animal, you notice that one ball python may not be the same as another ball python, or one corn snake might not react to certain things as another corn snake, but the natural keeping of them is typically always going to be the same. You may have some, snakes that like a certain thing in their enclosure or may not use it. Like I have a ball python who acts more like a boa. One of my pet ball pythons who always is out on her tree. So she has a tree. Her clutch mate doesn't have a tree because she never goes up on it. So, and it's funny because that particular ball python for a long time when she was a baby sat across from the other room where the boa constrictors were. And I used to always say, did she ever recognize that behavior in the boas? And that's why she liked to perch on her tree, because I never really see a ball python who does it a lot unless they are trying to find heat. Oh, look at my teeth this morning. My toothpaste is really good. Look like I got on veneers. The toothpaste is popping this morning. Let me go back here. So we're going to just be talking about that. Like for me, I own multiple species of animals. I will say that I consider myself very good at reptile keeping. There are animals who I'm still learning about, or I don't know everything about, but those type of animals I really don't know. I really don't own. I do have a new set of lizards, which do have a different keeping regimen, which is weird compared to my other lizards. Like my Asian water monitor, although a lizard spends a lot of time in the water, and you will find him, I would say split water and land, depending on what time of year it is. Like this time of the year, he is actually on land a little bit more than he is in the water. But I have Aggies now, which they are never they're not big fans of water, right? So even far as drinking water, they don't drink water often. Whereas though my tables drink water, so it's funny how I'm learning the Ackies. But I will say, if you guys don't have Ackies, or if you're somebody who want one of the lizard species, but not sure, you don't want a great big old water monitor, don't want a table who can sometimes just, be like a puppy, Ackies are fun. Like, I love these things. So I got 3 when we were in Tinley. And it was, like I said, I told the story of how I ended up getting them. So it was kind of like a impulse buy. But I really like these things. And what's cool about the Ackies is that these Ackies I have, they like a lot of handling. They like to climb up on you and things like that. And I'm sure it's just, the way that my Ackies probably are, because some people say they're a little bit, when you first get them, they can be a little bit more timid. They're pretty cool. And I even noticed that when the tables are in the house, the tables, of course, is at where they are right now. The tables is almost at eye level with them, which I want to say is not ideal for Ackies if they're not conditioned to people. Putting a lizard down low is not a good idea, which is similar to snakes. Like, you will always hear me say, if you have a defensive snake, especially like, I'm thinking, who was it? Mikey just got a boa, and she was saying her boa was a little defensive. With a boa, retic, even a green tree, even ball pythons, most snakes, if you lift them up high in the air, they instantly turn off their defense. And I think it just, makes them think they're safe. They're further away from you. But you'll find that with your tables too. If you have a table who is adjusting, you'll get that table, raise that table up in the air, and try this with a table, because this is a good example. If you don't believe that this works, try with caution. If you're new to tables and you just got a table and you got one that's actually defensive, when I say try it, do it with caution. But I would say, if you're not comfortable, get your gloves. Now, I will say this. I'll tell people, you may not ever need gloves for a snake, right? But if you have a defensive lizard, it is in your best interest to have on, and not just regular gloves, because they can actually bite through them. You need like the welder gloves, and that will make the experience of training them or conditioning them, I don't like to say train, but conditioning them better for you and the reptile. Because if you're going in there with a table, you can't hesitate. If they're defensive, you need to just scoop them up. And when you have one of those type of gloves and you're, teaching them to be less defensive, it's better for you to have gloves for your own confidence. And that confidence kind of exudes over to the animal, and you'll find that you will have better experiences. Tables also have very, very sharp nails. So does the Asian water monitor. The funny thing is that I have gotten less scratches. And when an Asian water monitor scratch you, one that is tamed down, my Asian water monitor never was not really conditioned. He came conditioned, but I will say that there are times that he can get skittish too. Something can scare him. If I'm in the enclosure with him, or he's in the house with me and somebody new walk in, or let's say my husband walks in the room, he can get like real skittish real fast. So that's probably the only time he will put his nails in me trying to hold on. I normally, if I'm handling him around other people, you'll never see me with short sleeves on. You'll see me with long sleeves on, just to protect my skin, because naturally they're going to cling. It's unintentional. Or if they climb, it's unintentional. Just like keeping in mind that even different species of lizards and different species of snakes will do different things. And the only way you know what's best for each one is... hold on 1 second. I'm getting screamed at right now. Oh, he gonna talk crap. Hold on give me a moment. All right. That's Dre. I never sent him the link. But that's not the reason why he's late, y'all. That's not. Don't, and we're not gonna let him make that the reason why he's late. I have, but I'm always working, so I don't chat much. Okay, Melinda, that's cool. So definitely, if you're a person who want lizards but don't want big lizards, these Ackies are cool as crap. And they don't need a whole lot of space like the other lizards do. Most of the other larger lizards. These are just very small. They're not going to get but so big. And I also like to see them together, like, so they actually are together because they can cohabitate. Actually, most people cohabitate them. So they're babies, they're younger, they get along fine, and they're in there together, and watch them how they commune together. Sometimes it's kind of interesting. So watch your animals. I think that's the most important thing. The only way you're going to know your animal, I said to somebody, you will not have a relationship with an animal that you just throw in a cage. As much as I can't stand this moody green tree python, I ain't gonna say I can't stand him. I love this thing, because if I couldn't stand him, he wouldn't be here. But as challenging as he is sometimes, I would never have been to the point that I am with him now, even as to open his door. Like, I can literally open his door right now, pull the glass open, and he won't budge. Where before, instantly, he would just go on alert. Now it's more of when you actually touch him to pick him up, then he shows that he's on alert. So can you explain to the audience why you late for work? I know you're not paid for this. I know this is community service.
Listen. It's funny because like 2 minutes ago I hopped in the chat. I saw you like, we're not gonna let him act like we sent him the link. It's why he late. Yo, you gonna stop trying to do me like this?
I'm like, come on. When we started this podcast, it was for sure that I was gonna be the one late. Cause Dre, he up anyway.
Listen.
I get it.
This is like
these Mondays be tough.
I was up later than I needed to be last night.
Was you having fun, or was you just doing snake stuff?
Doing stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ooh, okay. Never mind. That's for. But you could hit the conversation, so you know where we at, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So just the FYI, Ackies are great. Dre, I'll let you go ahead and jump in with anything that you want to say. Any good mornings? Keith was first in the chat. He shouted you out first, and you wasn't here, but it's way up there in the comments.
You ain't got to keep saying that. All right. You know what I'm saying? Good morning, everybody, first off. I did catch the little, the tidbit you were talking about.
Wake up. Hey, Candy.
Our little background music kind of loud today, man.
Is it to you? Hold on.
Yeah.
I'll fix it for you.
Well, I'm like half deaf, so if I'm saying it's loud, it's a little loud.
Let me pull it back for you. Is that better? Now the people can't hear it.
That's cool. Yeah, okay. That's cool. All right. Yeah, so for me, I think it's funny because I just did a YouTube video which I'm releasing today, and this one is centered around snake bites, but I kind of basically discuss like how I handle each of my snakes in different manners because each of their temperaments are different. So, and even my lizards, I mean, obviously the caiman, gotta wear gloves with him because that he gonna bite every time.
He can speak on that. I don't know nothing about a caiman. The funny thing is, I am convinced that an alligator is better than a caiman. But go ahead.
Okay. So it's I think a lot of it goes back to number one, doing your research to learn that animal, so you kind of have an idea of what you're getting yourself into, but also learning your animal individually, because I'm all about learning the general species, but you still have to learn your individual animal because
Yep.
it's not always the case. Everybody says blood pythons are these crazy, aggressive animals, and they're no different than any other snake. Honestly, they just take a little more time. They do pack a little punch, but that doesn't mean that they're more aggressive or defensive than any other snake. So you just got to be willing to put in that work to make sure that you're prepared for it is the main thing.
To know what could happen, because I'm
Yeah.
gonna say this. Everything I thought about this carpet python, this carpet python is probably one of the sweetest snakes I've.
But and that's what I'm saying. Like, so you got to do your research
baby.
on.
You would think it would be more defensive, but it's so sweet.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to do your research on the species, so you know you have an idea of what that animal is capable of. But your individual animal is where you put in that work, and it may not even be what you think it is. So, you just got to prepare for stuff like that because, again, my anaconda. Granted, when I first got her, she was not nice, but a lot of that was that adjustment period. Now she is probably one of the sweetest snakes out of my entire collection, which is odd for me to say. She's a yellow anaconda, and now I take her out almost every day. Don't have any issues. I rub her head, no problems at all. So again, every snake has the ability, or every reptile has that ability to be that animal or to be the animal that is hardest to deal with. But once you build that trust and put in the work to get them to understand that you're no threat to them, it's not a problem at all. And then there are some animals where you kind of just gotta respect them for what they are. They're not going to change, but you gotta learn how to deal with that. So my beaded lizard and my caiman, I respect them for the assholes that they are, but I mean, I gotta deal with them accordingly. If I know that when I put my hand in there to grab the caiman, he gonna swing around, I know I gotta be faster than he is. Otherwise, my thumb gonna get ripped open. So
right. And I think too, when we think about effective handling, it comes down to how you. So I shared a video that really pissed me off. First of all, I don't follow Jay Brewer. I stopped following him probably over a year and a half ago. Was definitely someone I used to really like watching, like back in the day. But I think that we talked about social media last week. I think one of the things we have to be careful of is sensationalism in trying to create this unnecessary content for subscriptions, right? So, effective handling. In a world where, Dre got on his US Arc short today, shout out to US Arc, where we're fighting for rights every single day. Like what Georgia is doing, right now in Georgia.
What they did.
Right, what they did, right. And this is so funny because just about 2 weeks ago, we were talking, Keys and us was talking, and it was it was just like a conversation about moving to Georgia. And I was like, I can't move there. It's, it's in the South, and they just, the South be tripping on the kind of animals I like to keep. And then a week later, this whole list comes out from Georgia. Okay. So with that said, imagine someone in legislation in the state of Georgia where everybody's trying to appeal this decision. And someone comes across Jay Brewer's video where he takes this great big old Burmese. This is a full-grown Burmese python. Let me just say that. This is not a medium size. My Burms are still considered young. They're young. So you haven't seen a big Burm. Dre, your Burm is not a big Burm yet. It's a growing Burm. Right. But he takes a full-grown Burm, and all his stuff is oversized anyway because it's inappropriately fed. That's just facts because animals are not supposed to be. Retics should not be even breeding retics as big as his is, and Burm should not be that big either. They're big snakes naturally. They shouldn't be obese. So he throws it around this guy, and this guy loses it. Now it's a difference. Like, you know how some people are scared of snakes? This was a person you could tell that was, and they knew it. Like, somewhere they knew it and thought this was a joke to throw this around this grown man, and the grown man loses. And when he loses every limb, he's screaming and all. You want to trigger a snake real fast? Change your behavior real fast. If even with my retics that I am most comfortable with, that the one that y'all see, like I said, is the puppy of the puppy. It's the tiger pie, the silver and white one. If I have him on me and all of a sudden start doing stuff like this, he's going to have a reaction. I don't know what reaction, you know why? Because I don't do that. If I got to make a quick movement or something that's happening where I got to do a lot of frailing or what you call like inconsistent movement, I'm going to put that snake down and then go and do it. So they put it around and this guy lost. I felt so bad for this guy. And first of all, somebody probably had to talk him into going to Jay Brewer's anyway. You can see that he wasn't a reptile person. It wasn't funny at all. I thought that boy was going to have the man was going to have a heart attack.
I watched that video as well. Those were some other influencers, and I noticed this a lot about like a lot of the people in California. They'll get with like these bigger influencers and make collabs and videos with their snakes to kind of boost their platform, because a lot of the other influencers in Cali like got millions of followers, so they'll do these snake pranks and stuff like that to kind of boost their following. And the only thing, as much as we hate it, the real reptile keeper, as much as we hate it, that's what gets them the views. People are watching it, no matter if people like it or not. They're still getting views because if you can't be negative.
So and with that being said, and I promise you, one of the things that we have to change, because for those of us who really do love reptiles and who wants to keep them in the appropriate way and not have them taken away, what you said is something significant. There are certain people that I'm not even going to touch there. I'm not even going to hit to see it, right? I wouldn't have seen this for Jay Brewer if it wasn't on TikTok. So, as you scroll through TikTok, it just pops up.
I saw it on Instagram.
See, I don't follow him.
I don't either.
So I kind of
was on the Explore page.
So yeah, Instagram, right? You can see it. So I don't like. So even on Instagram, I think I still have control a little bit. Where TikTok, it kind of like goes from this to this for me. In the play, and
right.
I think what Dre said is what we have to do. We have to stop hitting that button. Have to stop watching it because that's not the content that we need out there right now. It's a whole lot of stuff that he does that I don't care. That's your animals. You can do whatever you want to do. But when you start to involve other people, because let me tell you what could have easily happened. That big Burm could have had a defensive reaction and literally start to constrict that man because they put it around his neck. That was the other thing. Like that just put it around his neck without telling him. That was another thing because he's facing this way. He didn't even know it was coming.
And he tensed up very quickly. That could have went south real fast.
Yeah, that literally could have ended very bad. And if a Burm had really constricted him, it wasn't enough people there for Burm that size to keep that man alive.
I personally feel like had he done that with a retic, it would have went completely different.
Oh hell yeah, that would have been totally different.
And
as soon as he started,
I think that's why he used the Burm because every snake, of course, is known for having a particular temperament, but right. Burms are known to just kind of be those puppy dogs of the big snake world. A little bit more
patient than a
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you never know how any animal's gonna react. I don't care how well you know an animal. Listen. Even when I had my dog is 12 years old. I'm never leaving my dog alone in the room with my child, which we talked about that on the last podcast as well. But I think people get too comfortable and give some of these animals too much credit, and they don't realize that A lot of these animals are just waiting for an opportunity to let you know, okay, cool, I may be domesticated, I may be tolerable, but I'm still an animal, and they will let you know very quickly. And you can't treat a snake like a dog or a cat because they're not those animals. That's why I hate when people say, "Oh, I have this animal, I have this lizard, oh, it acts like a dog." No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Because if that was the case, then you would have just got a fucking dog. We gotta respect these animals for what they are, and if we don't, they're gonna pass a lot more laws quickly, and ain't none of us gonna be able to keep shit.
Yeah, and keeping in mind that is also animal abuse. Taking a snake and throwing its body with all of that weight like that is not healthy for the snake's spine. But we have these very big influencers who put that stuff out there, and then people, that's why people think that animals are so scary. So effective reptile keeping also goes into not doing dumb stuff with your animals.
100%.
Like if someone was to come over here and they wanted to hold a retic, for example, I'm not going to give them the retic that I think may not be the easiest to handle. I'm gonna give them the one that's the most easy, because the first experience that person needs to have, if I'm going to be the coffee, I'm probably just eat something simple. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, okay. So I'm not going to give them the one that's, most difficult to handle. I do think that it's an issue when we are supposed to be, like, when we are influencers, okay? So you are the person who a lot of people grew up on, and you start to do these types of things, and you get someone who's not experienced as a J brewer who tries the same thing with their little cousin, and their little cousin end up on the news because the animal has constricted them to death. And you, again, what annoys me about those situations is that the animal gets the bad rep. Like, even if this story about the grandmother in Indonesia was true, right? Even if it's true, the animal would have gotten the bad rep. And I can tell you, you're not going to just see a retic just floating around in the common areas of Indonesia. So if she's going into the jungle, where typically this animal probably sitting there waiting to, because retics are ambush predators. If you ever want to see something cute, thaw out your rabbits close to the room where your retics are, and watch them sit behind their water bowls or in their water bowl with their head peeking up waiting for their food, because they're ambush predators. And then you stumble as a little lady, and this is why I don't believe in letting, like, my grandchildren, the smaller ones cannot hold the big snakes, because the reality of it is that I don't know what the snake sees out of their eyes looking at a little 2-foot child. You know what I mean? Like, we don't know that, and I'm damn sure not going to test that with my grandchildren. Right. So if a little lady is running through the jungle, by the time that retic ambushed and struck, she is now food, right? Because they typically, once they constrict, they eat you. That's just, I have never seen or known a snake to actually constrict and say, "Oh no, never mind, I'm not going to eat it anymore." They already made their mind up. They already made their mind up with the constriction. Now, if they're not going to eat it, they won't touch it. But if they constricted it, they're most likely 95% of the time are going to eat it, unless they sense something bad about that food. So now she's constricted, she's eaten. Let's say if the story is true, she's eaten, and a 30-foot snake in the wild could eat a human. I wanted to clarify that. If you look at Bertha, for example, Bertha could eat a human, but most retics, not even in the wild, are going to be that big. Not even in the wild. Look for yourself. Like I said, my breeder, he's always in Thailand, and he is on the hunt for retics. That's what he's, he goes out at night looking for them. Never find them. One time he said that he noticed that they stay more in the burrows and the caves within the jungle, right? So that lady had to be deep into where she shouldn't be, type of thing, to get it. But the snake is the bad rat. The story is a 69-year-old grandma eaten by a snake. Not that 69-year-old grandma in Indonesia who was walking into the deeps of the jungle where retics dwell, or retics harbor, was eaten by a snake. And that's the part that becomes so unfair for me, because even if that was a true story, the placement of where she is, it's kind of like if you go into, let's go in the Sahara, no, let's go water. So let's say if you're in the water in Tanzania, there's anacondas in there, and they're anacondas that's going to be bigger than anything you've seen us keep captive bred. And you're swimming in the rivers of Tanzania. You know what elements are in there. That's kind of like jumping in the Everglades. Will we come out not bitten by an alligator? Possible. But that's a slight chance, right? You know what I'm saying? It's a very slight chance that that's how it's going to turn out if you jump into the Everglades. But if I jump into the Everglades, that's going to be the story. Woman climbed the fence of the Everglades State Park, went into the water and got eaten by the alligator. So the alligator is still protected because I was the dummy. But whenever it's a snake, the story is somehow reflected on the snake, regardless of where that person was.
Even if we're talking a wild snake that wasn't let loose, in its natural environment, this snake was killed. The snake was cut open, and there's some. So I shared the story, but there's definitely some iffy details in it. And for me, it was a simple fact that they found her shoes, her head wrap, and something else.
Yeah, he didn't take off. He ain't letting that go. If y'all ever seen a retic eat, whatever goes on that rabbit is going in their stomach. It's one of the
and that's what I'm saying. Like,
feed them on the side that has no substrate or anything else. Not the thermometer, so I moved the thermometer on the other side of where they're getting fed and everything.
So what's funny is I got into a little debate, with some person that shared the story, and they was saying something stupid, and I'm just like, snakes don't have the ability to spit things out. They don't. They just swallow it. So the simple fact that you think that this snake constricted and ate this woman and then spit up her shoes, now they can regurgitate, but they don't just regurgitate what they want to regurgitate. They regurgitate what's there. Exactly. So you thought she just kicked off her shoes in his stomach, and he just no, that doesn't make any sense to me. And again, like you said, the snake was to blame. Although this was a wild snake in its natural environment, doing what it was created to do. I mean, the thing is, with these being wild snakes, like you said, they're ambush predators. They don't know when their next meal is coming, so everything is going to start looking like food, especially as the snake grows. And then the simple fact that
small, like a little small woman in Asia, they can be children's size,
Because I'm guessing, like I said, if it's true, this woman had to be no bigger than 4'9".
Right, no bigger, or in small frame, in small frame.
If snakes are, around these people, they are going to be more inclined to be curious. Like, these people always cooking. We don't know, like, if maybe he smells something on her or what, but all I'm saying is, if the story is true, I don't understand why I got blown up so big when nobody was tripping about the Jungle Book. You try to eat the kid, I'm just saying. Now, I'm going to be honest, it sucks, but I personally don't feel bad because there's so many different things that happen, and we don't know what it's like over in Indonesia. So, I mean, I will say I do feel like there's a crazy influx of stories like this where,
it comes out, it's all the time. And if you ever take them, and some of them, like some of them are a Photoshop of the story that went 5 years ago. So it's the same snake and all these different people that was photoshopped into the picture, or the same people with a different snake. What I said was funny was, I think it said that news stations, because again, the sensationalism of it, don't verify these stories. They quick to put it out. I literally sent the message to Fox 45. Literally.
Yeah, it was fine.
I couldn't help it. Did you really put this story out? First of all, the picture that you use is a ball python. How about take the picture that the family sent y'all? Because I know, because I'm sure y'all had to get approved from this family. Get the picture of the snake from the family and post that picture what the snake look like. Even if you don't show the whole body, show half of it, so we can see there's a tiger retic in a wild and not a ball python.
You want to know what I want to know, though? What I want to know is everything that goes on over here in the United States. What inclined y'all to take this story? It don't sound right.
But see, to people who really believe, there are people, Dre, who believes that we're going to get eaten in our house every single day. So for those people works for those news stations. They believe that, so they put it out there because they really think it's true.
That's why I tell them people, kiss my left nut and keep it moving. Because why are you, even if that was the case, if I'm okay with that, mind your damn business. People feel like their opinion has to matter so much, and it doesn't. And when they realize that it doesn't, they have a problem. Because again, going back to this story, what if that lady was killed by a tiger and then the snake came up and ate her?
Right.
Like, that tiger's in Indonesia. We don't know, you know what I'm saying, what really happened, because we do know, obviously, snakes will eat dead things. So we don't know what exactly happened.
If she
and
passed out.
This whole story is an assumption, again, if it's true. What if she got bit by a snake? We don't know none of that. So since there was nobody there to verify it,
because they do have cobras like cats. So Indonesia got cobras who do come up to the houses.
They have king cobras. So it's a simple fact that basically the whole story is an assumption, and the simple fact that as a journalist you're okay with putting out a half-assed story without having facts is crazy to me. That's why I don't believe a lot of these stories.
But the news is not the same as it used to be. It's a whole lot of unverified information, whether it's with animals or anything else. Like, it's a whole lot of unverified. Everybody want to get the story out first, and they want the ratings.
I was born in '92, and I ain't never trusted the news. I don't care. It ain't never been a cure to me.
So I was born in '73, and we relied on the news. Like, that was one like 11 o'clock news. You watched that. Like, that was the only way you knew what was going on. In fact, that was one of the things. I don't know. Everybody else in the chat, y'all remember when 11 o'clock used to come, and it would be like right before the news, they'd be like, "It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?" Y'all remember that? Now they don't do that shit no more because your children's still out there in the club and everything else with you. But when we were coming up, that was like an alert to the parents too. Before the news came on, it said, "It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?" So, I can tell you that I agree with you. I don't even watch CNN. I used to love CNN. After the whole 2 years, or like during COVID, I stopped watching CNN because even that became sensationalized. When Trump was president, not saying if I thought he was a good one or if I thought he was a bad one. That's not what I'm here for. But even when he was president, I felt like a news station.
Fuck that nigga. Proceed.
Do you want to go there?
I don't like politics, period. So fuck all of them. I feel the same way about Biden.
I'm going to say this as a woman who just retired. I wish I had retired when Trump was in the office. I ain't got to like him. I think he's a total fool. But it was good having a businessman running this country. That is my opinion. And I'm just going to keep on moving on. We ain't going to go too far in that. I don't like him as a person. But I have a whole lot of people. I used to tell my employees all the time, there are some of you I don't like. But my job is to grow and develop your career.
I'm getting paid to act like I'm okay. I'm getting paid. That's different though, because you're getting paid at that point. And when you let stuff like that mess up your money, you ain't grown enough. Yeah. But I don't like politicians. Period. They all stupid to me.
Well, and that's the thing. The thing is that the reality of it is that when I say I try. when you get into a certain part of a life, you have to be political because it does make a difference of what your future is and what your future is going to look like. That's something I tell my daughter all the time. Like, you got to vote for somebody. Fine, even if you don't want to look at all the list of the values. What's is most important to you? So for me, I can tell you, I wanted a change and I regretted that change. I think the country would not be in the position. Having a cocky president was kind of a benefit. He played hardball. And it put us in places where, like even with the gas prices and stuff like that you would have never seen the gas prices with Trump jump up like that because of how he held the nuts of the other countries. He did realize that America was great. And in that, he knew how to play that position. So y'all got to give him credit for that. Like I tell people all the time, I can look past all the other stuff. Do I think that he might have been borderline racist or racist? Yes.
Borderline,
I do, but we work for racist people every single day that act like they love us, right? I love the fact that I love where he stood, but I didn't care about all of that. You can have someone who's not racist and have us in a position where our country is right now today. And I'm telling you, like if you looked at your retirement when Trump was in the office and watched it grow, and then instantly watch it decline. I would much rather have retired. I wish I had that thought when Trump was still in office, because even then would have put me in a better position at retirement. So, with that being said, like I just think that with the news, I think the news sensationalizing a lot of stuff made the country divide. Right? Instead of saying like, with the Kanye thing, you don't have to pick a side. I don't agree with everything he's saying. Kanye, but you can't say he all wrong either. Just because he's not afraid to verbalize himself. And again, I keep saying he's a rich man. We're trying to get into a billionaire head in his position. What he sees is totally different from what you and I see. The only big transactions we have is probably at the bank and with our credit card companies. This brother has been in rooms with all these people that he can put a call out on. Do I think he's, after the loss of his mother, that he may be a little off? Yes. I think that maybe he struggles to articulate himself in his passion and his emotions. Yes. But is he crazy? No.
Do I think the Kardashians may have put some curse on him? Yes.
You know what?
All right, I quit.
I can't. I'm not gonna put that on Kim. I think Kim, like any other woman, realized that at a certain point, look, I can't do this. Like I'm not gonna put that on Kim.
Not her box. Anyway,
oh goodness. But yeah, so I just think that we all have to, especially like, for people who have these really, really huge platforms, remember that it's not about us as an individual.
For sure. The one thing that I don't like about the reptile community is how hard we go on each other. If somebody posts something that's not 100% accurate, or somebody posts something that may be a little off, we go super hard on each other. But when we see, these bigger influencers do something wrong, that actually these are the people that people actually think represent the community. When they do something wrong, or when these news companies post a story and it has completely inaccurate information, we don't say anything. So it's just like how, and again, that's one of the politics of it. People pick and choose what cause they want to support. They pick and choose when they want to speak up. They pick and choose who they do and don't like. So it's like how, and then you see these are the same people that complain that the reptile community is trash. Well, if you aren't going to be a part of the solution, then you're a part of the problem. So if you keep calling out the same people who got 300 followers and they keep 5 leopard geckos in a 10-gallon tank, and you're going after them, that's not helping the community, for the simple fact that you got this big influencer who thinks it's okay to prank people with 1 million followers, but you're not going after them. I'm not saying you need to be out here just going after people and harassing people. No, that's not what I'm saying. But if you're going to speak up about anything, speak up about the things that actually are hurting the community. Now, I'm not saying this person with 5 leopard geckos and a 10-gallon tank is right. However, certain people are going to do what they want to do. But when you have people that actually represent a brand and a community altogether, and that's what people look up for,
And
it
sometimes
does
we
more harm.
debate things that's just unnecessary. Like, and I'll give you one that annoys the crap out of me. Snakes, people who put red lights on their snakes. I can tell you that most of us who grew up had red lights on our snakes in the 80s. And our snakes was just fine. Like, nothing was wrong with our snakes at all. There are some people who feel that LED lights shouldn't be in retic cages. All of my retic cages have LED lights. And let me tell you something I noticed about my retics. They look for those lights. It tells them, like right now, if I turn them on, right now they still all time just lay like sleep. Even though I'm sitting in this room, if I turn them lights on, they're all gonna wake up. They're all gonna turn around and come to the door and it's like, you know, you're gonna take me out type of thing. And then I turn the lights off at night. Now, I do think that you have to be careful how you install lights. Like, I'm not a fan of the light cages and stuff like that because your snake is always at risk of getting burned. But that's one of the reasons why LED lights work for me. They can't never get burned on LED lights. But the proper installation of LED lights, and that's when my husband, I drive him crazy. If when he has to put an enclosure together, shut up. Shut up. Wait a minute, hold on. I created this banner for you today. Let me see. Let me let you see it.
For
there
me,
you go. It was prepared. It was prepared.
Hey, I fuck with that. Nicole won't let me make a banner because she won't let me into the StreamYard. So you know.
No. So I figured it out.
I'm on the outside and can't get in.
You can make banners. You can tell me to put the banner in it. No,
I figured
it out. I think I figured it out. It is a way to add more. I just have to pay more. So right now I have the top of the stream, but you have to pay extra for.
Well, let me know. I can send you some money.
The additional admins. I ain't broke, fool.
Ain't nobody said you was broke, but we doing this together, so you know.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look at that because when I was looking last night at what I sent you.
Mm-hmm.
I also saw that as well. So right now it's like you can add one additional member, but if you pay, I think I came out what it was, but you can add another 5 people actually, because I would like to add probably Keisha as a backup too for when I do certain things. So yeah, so I'll take care of that later on today because I did notice that last night. But yeah, pre-type cursor banner for you. But I'll go to this one. I'll go back to this one.
I'm gonna make me a handwritten banner for the next show and hold it up like this.
Just a reminder, as we talk about USARK, support USARK, support USARK Florida. I keep remembering I have to also add my badges to my platforms. But if you have not reached out, please reach out to USARK if you did not receive your shirt this year for any of your renewals or any of your new memberships. If you know anybody, have them send their email to USARK.
They sent out an email this past week too about that. They sent out an email about that this past week about people not receiving their shirts and stuff. So make sure y'all check that out if you are a member so you can get your shirt. They sent me my shirt, but it was a little snug. People was making fun of me because I got man boobs, so I went and bought mine at Tinley. Something that fit a little better, so you know. But when in doubt, you know, reach out to USARK.
Yep, reach out to USARK. Don't bitch and moan about it. Like I said, they're very busy. I actually reached out to Vanessa and just said to her, anything y'all need me to do remotely to help. If you want to send T-shirts here and just help, I can help them mail out T-shirts or whatever so it can stay on time. Or if as people become members, if you want to get them out quickly. I volunteered to do that. So I'm waiting to hear back from her. So hopefully I can help them in that manner. So going forward, people are not waiting because what I don't want is people to feel like, especially when you convince people to sign up for USARK, right? And they already heard, whatever negative that they heard, which should matter. But they've already heard it, whatever. I'm not knocking that. And they need to make that instant. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like, so people are not, everything with USR for me has to be perfect. I mean, when I mean perfect, as far as, because there's already that conversation about that, what happens to the money, but anybody can go see what happens to the money. It's very public. If you actually go on the website and play around, guys, there's a lot of information on there. If you're not getting all of your alerts, it's probably how you are set up. Because sometimes when you register, you'll say, I don't want to receive alerts. It's a check mark that you have to actually say, yes, I want to receive them. So just kind of go in there and play and see that. But I do think it's important that if we say, we're going to, like, when you register, you receive a shirt, that person should receive the shirt within a month. So, and the only way, we can say, I always tell people, you can say what should have, could have, would have. My thing is that in order for those things to really happen, we're going to need to volunteer more. We're going to need to help and support more, because it's not enough help down there. Hey, Antoine, it's not enough help down there in USR. So instead of complaining, I decided to, when I started to hear it, because I just wait for mine. I know it's going to take a long time. I almost waited a year last year. But this year, I said, let's do something about it. Let's see how we can help. So
on that topic, it amazes me how many reptile keepers that I know that don't support US Art. And I don't mean like they won't sign up. I mean they don't like the actual organization. It's crazy.
Well, yeah, I think it should be mandatory. I think that if US Art and the United States government should combine themselves together to say, if you're going to have a reptile, the only requirement is that you become a member of US Art. And then they work with US Art to make sure that we as keepers follow whatever laws and protocols for our state type of thing. Like, it's a way to do this and hold everybody responsible.
There's always a way to do it, but again, you just have those people that want to be the problem, because why do you have 3 or 4 tegus, you know what I'm saying, but you don't want to support the organization that actually fights for you to be able to keep those tegus? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, because Jay Brewer doesn't support USR. Did you know that?
Coonery. That's what I call it.
Right. So I feel like, but you should not be establish a business on reptile and make it lucrative if you're not a member of USR. I feel like it should be just like car insurance. You get a car, must have insurance.
I mean, but that's a ripoff though, so that's not a good analogy. I see what you're going,
Say it
what
again?
you're doing though. I said insurance is a ripoff though, not a good analogy, but I see where you're going with it.
Oh, it is kind of. I know. I see what you're saying about insurance too. I do agree.
Kind of.
No, it is. I do agree.
I worked for an insurance company
you're
for 6 years.
penalized either way, right? If there's an accident and they got to make repairs, when you get your new statement for the following renewal, it goes up.
You charge me a monthly premium, and then when I need to use it, you charge me again as a deductible. You raggedy motherfuckers. No,
yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree with that.
Once I realized how insurance actually works, I worked for Nationwide for 6 years. Mm-hmm. Man,
that's why Nationwide that's the main state for Nationwide. That's where it was established, right?
Yeah, it was started here by 2 farmers in the 50s.
Yeah,
they were selling tires. Yeah, they're huge. They sponsor every fucking thing.
Yeah, I was amazed. And when I lived in Columbus, Nationwide and the goddamn Buckeyes. The Buckeyes run Ohio, okay? Buckeye potato chips, Buckeye this, Buckeye that, the Buckeye pond, the Buckeye, like, golly.
Let me tell you something.
Buckeye somebody to death.
Let me tell you something. Fuck Ohio State. You know my family from Michigan. That's what we root for here, okay? we don't do that Buckeye shit. We don't do that Scarlet. Nah, maize and blue all day. We don't do that.
I was like, they got a whole damn island, damn grocery
They do.
Buckeye clothes, apparel is in the grocery store. Buckeye everything.
Man, listen, with the shittiest campus, nasty ass campus.
I loved it in Ohio. Let me tell you what Ohio, Columbus did have. My kid, if you are raising children, I felt like Columbus had always something to do. Now I heard that some of the stuff got shut down, like GameWorks is not there anymore. I love GameWorks.
Damn, Nicole, how long has it been since you've been back?
It was, that's what I said. So I lived there from 2004. No, not since I've been back. Now I've been back quite often because my family's there.
GameWorks been going about 20
living
years.
There, it was I left in 2000, probably like 2 years before I met my husband. No, it was like 3 years. So 2006 is when I left.
Yeah, so GameWorks is like, it's been like 20 years. GameWorks turned into
it wasn't no 20 years. Almost.
GameWorks turned
that 2006 is almost 20 years.
GameWorks turned into to KDB, and then KDB got bought out. Now at Easton, where GameWorks was, is now just a Lego store for kids. It's not even there because originally, before it was GameWorks, it used to be a Jeepers. It used to be Jeepers.
I remember, so we had Jeepers up here too.
Yeah. Man, I miss Jeepers. Had my
GameWorks was the truth. I loved GameWorks. And do they still have COSI?
Oh yeah, COSI. Yeah, they still COSI ain't going nowhere.
So COSI is where I learned how to get over my fear of flying. Like when I don't not get over my fear of flying. Let me say this because I'm still very fearful of flying. But make me understand how a plane actually works to make me understand it better. Because they had the airplane assimilation thing.
Yeah.
And they taught, like, literally you flew, but the pilot was teaching you everything that was happening. I mean, that was beautiful. That was one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life, sir.
So you want to know something cool? They have reptiles at COSI now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I haven't been in a while, but they have, like, it is nothing crazy, but they got, like, a little exhibit that talks about, like, biology. So they have, like, a king snake. They got, like, a couple, I want to say they got some horny toads. They got a couple other little things in there, but it's changed a lot. They even now, I went a couple months ago, they do an adult night where basically you can like walk around and you can drink, which I feel like is a horrible idea, but it's actually pretty fun. So, yeah.
Well, I will say, shout out to Columbus, Ohio, because I will tell you, I'd have never left Columbus if it wasn't for Jada. Jada missed my mother really, really bad. Michael was good. Michael loved living in Columbus, but Jada, at that time, she had to be like 6 or 7. And she just, grandma. And it got to a point where I felt like her being around her other cousins and stuff like that she knew. Because, you know, I have a whole lot of family down there, but they're my cousins, like the older cousins, you know what I mean? And she just missed my mother a lot. So we came back. And I mean, I always say everything happened for a reason. Because if I never came back, I'd never met my husband. Because he wouldn't have been in Columbus ever.
Your last name is Massey, right?
Yep.
Y'all on Massey's Pizza?
So I don't think we do. Somebody asked me that before. Now I can tell you that my cousin, his name, he's gone now. He had a lot of investments. Like when he was alive, even down to the point I remember going to an India.Arie concert there, and he literally had this tailor business where the lady literally sold my outfit on me. It was a leather outfit. Sold it onto my body, and it was his shop. And that was called Massey's Tailor or something, or it might have been like with somebody else, but yeah.
I was just trying to get a free piece of pizza.
You so silly. But I don't know. I will tell you that I always tell people whenever I see the last name Massey, and especially if they're black, we're related some kind of way.
Well, they got Massey's on like every fucking corner here, and it's funny because the home pizza is Donato's. But Donato's and fell so far off the daggone map. Nobody eat Donato. It's trash now.
I used to love Donato's pizza.
It's trash now because they done got more expensive. The pizza done got smaller, and they changed the sauce, and it's like actually kind of sweet. I'm like, fuck, I want this candy pizza. I don't want this nasty shit. Mm-mm. But anyway, yeah, back to reptiles.
Oh, it's a little bit. I mean, it's like to come off topic a little bit. So yeah. So I would say too. One of the things about reptile keeping is sometimes if you have a lot of species of snakes and when it comes to temperature, how close you place them, like you got to make sure that they're in places where the heat systems that you're running or anything doesn't impact the other ones. Like my corn snake, because she's in the room with the medium-sized retics, I don't have to put on any heat at all for her, any heat source at all, nothing, because she doesn't like it above 80. Like they like it around that 70, 78 mark. Where retics like it around 77, 78 too. That's one of the things that people don't realize. Retics can't stand heat. The only time you're going to see your retic on the hot side or the warm side, because I don't need to say hot, because their hot side is only 85 for me, is that they digesting their food. Other than that, don't want no parts of no heat. You could keep retics in ambient temperature in Maryland if your house is kept at, you know, a nice normal temperature for yourselves, and never have to turn on heat. But sometimes what I find is that like you can't put your retics in the same room with you shouldn't, because somewhere someone is not getting what they need if you put them in the same room with your lizards. Like where my lizards are, it's like 15, 20 degrees difference just walking in that room, not even an enclosure. That room is kept 20 degrees.
Lizards, most lizards like it hot.
Oh, and you know what is crazy?
Especially
them Aggies like it hell hot. Like
I was just gonna say,
Jesus.
Especially if you're dealing with any lizard from Africa or Australia.
Like their hot spot, like so where they sit at, like it has a variations on the hot spot from I would say from 130 to 175. You will see them sitting under 175, and I'm like on something ceramic, you know, like it's like a ceramic hot. I'm like, oh no, that's what's hard for me. I had to adapt to that mentality, because with the tables going into that tent, it always felt like it was too hot. You know, like it's just too hot. No animal can live like this, but that's what they really need.
Man, listen, Beardy's like the basking spot at like 110, 115. Like that's they gotta have it, and it's a lot of things that people don't understand about these animals. Like even the beginner animals, which we should do a video on that one too, because I don't really believe in the whole beginner advanced animal thing. I think it's all about the keeper.
Right.
Even the beginner animals, they're all complex, which is why research is so important. Because man, Beardies, leopard geckos, all the leopard geckos aren't diurnal, but they still are from the Middle East, so they like it warm. They come out at night and they still want it to be warm. But yeah, them Ackies, I already know, they probably be up in there like, it feel good in here, don't it? Hot.
So what animal you think is the hardest for you to keep?
In my collection?
Overall, the caiman?
Probably. And that's only because he's gonna need a massive enclosure. Definitely. Just the specific specialized care that it requires, you know, a nice land area, a massive water area, it needs to be filtered water. They eat a ton of different things and they want to kill you. So, but I'm excited for it. I'm working on some plans because I got some stuff happening next year, but I ain't gonna talk about that just yet. I'm gonna let that come into fruition first. But yeah, we doing some upgrades real soon. Not just the snakes, that's already in the works, but because my Gila monster is in a 4x2, but I want him and the beaded in a 6x2. The Gila monster's full size. He's, you know, about probably like a good 18 inches. But I want to make sure everybody has, even if it's overkill, I want to make sure everybody has enough room. Because eventually I am going to get into some other animals that requires Ohio Fish and Wildlife to come check out my enclosures and everything. So I want to get all of that in line before I get into that. So
yeah, I don't think it's a such thing. I think you can never give a growing reptile too much space, honestly. Like I said, when my retics, they've always went into their big enclosures, like right after their enclosures were built, and they were less than 10 feet, all of them, before they went into their 8-footers, and they loved it. Like they loved it. In fact, I started to take out, like as they get bigger, you have to remove more and more because they don't respect it anymore. Like the hides, I used to crack up when they used to still try to get under their hides, and then it gets to a point where no matter what, there's not a hide that's going to cover them anyway. So at that particular point, they're confident they don't need to hide. The hides is only for really snakes to feel protected when they just don't want to be exposed. And most large snakes, once they get over that 12 feet mark, they they're apex predators. At the end of the day, being exposed don't bother them. They wish a ninja would type of thing. My berm, she'll live forever in her enclosure because of the height that I got her enclosure. I got her enclosure in T'Challa's much higher than all the rest of them. But I have like 6 new enclosures coming. Well, really all of them are built, but I'm moving the boas from the 4x2x2s to the 6x3x3s. And again, I think it was smart to do that now instead of waiting till next year because we don't know where this economy is going. And compared to what I paid, good thing is where their enclosures come from. It's a guy that I have here, like an hour and a half in West Virginia, that builds them for me, and he's never raised the price because he always had PVC stocked. Actually, he used to work for Jay Brewer. That's the funniest story. He used to work for him years ago. And he actually, so then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move all of the boas, and then it frees me up with those 3 enclosures to separate I'm gonna put the breeding ball pythons, the pet ball pythons in the 3 4x2x2s. And then I have an extra one for the Ackies. Because I think initially, once they get bigger, like right now, they're good. But once they get bigger, like for their lifetime, I want to put them in the 4x2x2s. But it's crazy though. The Ackies are in the other room, right underneath the turtles. They're not out there with the other lizards. But because the enclosure size is so much smaller compared to the tables in them, it works great like in here. So I'm glad that I was introduced to them. Dre know I wanted to buy a lizard when I went to Tinley, but it wasn't going to be an Ackie. But that day when Mike got me good with the Ackies, so that's how I ended up with the Ackies.
The funny thing is, I'm pretty sure on Friday when I came to see you to say hi, you were buying them damn Ackies.
It was, so because I went to see Mike. So whenever I go to Tinley, the first person I go to see is Mike. I'm going to Mike's.
Mike at first. Who?
So Mike, it was Mike's fault. So Mike was playing around, and he's the reason why I got those daggone Ackies.
Mike from Mike's Monitors. The
yes,
OG.
Mike from Mike's Monitors. I absolutely love him.
Coolest dude in the reptile game, for sure.
Yeah, and the whole time at Tinley, I'm constantly checking on him. Love his family. He got the best family. Like the when you talk about family dynamic, he got the best family dynamic. I love all of them are funny like him. All of them have that great humor. Mike she said, funny. As long as Ohio keeps Cedar Point. See, that's so funny. I didn't like Cedar Point is trash as much as I love Kings Island. Let me tell you why. Cedar Point had those little bugs. Y'all know what I'm talking? Dre, you know what I'm talking about?
I live here, Nicole. Yes, I know what I'm talking. No, what you're talking about.
Oh my God, I hated them damn bugs. So that's why I hated going to Cedar Point. But Kings Island, we stayed at Kings Island.
Yeah, Cedar Point it's trash now. I'd rather just go to Kings Island.
Yeah, I love Kings, and plus the outlets was near Kings, so we would always go to the outlets when we would go to Kings Island. You know what else I loved about living in Ohio? Going to Indiana. It was a boat called the Argosy. It was a casino boat.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Called the Argosy.
I've heard of it. I've never been, but I hate it.
Oh my God.
And that's because I got to drive through there to get to Chicago. In Indiana, I was doing some goddamn motherfucking construction. Put me always an hour, but I hate that state. Stupid
really? So it was right when you crossed, but the Argosy was literally at the Ohio-Indiana line. Because you would go right after you come out of Cincinnati, the boat was literally like in Indiana, but if you came 5 minutes across the line, you were back in Ohio, which is weird. But we used to have a lot of fun. Well, if you've never been, and if it's still there, it's a really fun boat with really good Amaretta sours. And every time I would go on that boat, it's a hotel boat too. So it's like a hotel and a casino boat. We will always win money. So one time we took like a family trip there because my cousin gave his wife this big party. And we all was hitting on different levels.
You could tell you old. She said Amaretta sours.
I love the Amaretta sours. Shut up.
People still drink those.
Hey, nothing like a good old Amaretta sour. But one of the nice things about New Caledonia geckos, they like the same temperature I like to be at. Cool, that's good.
Yeah, they pretty simple. That's facts.
Yeah. I mean, again, like knowing what your like, I love to hear people say, "I really, really like that table, but I can't get it because I don't have the space." I love to hear that. I love to hear people say, "I really, really want." As much as I joke, retics are not for everybody, but if you can provide for them, they're great. But I love to hear people say, I can't have a retic. I don't have no way to get those size rabbits. And they realize that the snake that they're looking at today is not going to be the same snake in a year. So they don't get it. I love all of that. What I find annoying is when people get something just because somebody else got it, type of thing. Mm-hmm. And then I hate to see people constantly rehoming. I hate that. I think that comes from what you said, not getting the necessary information you need before getting it. But when you're constantly rehoming animals, that's not good for the animal at all. Hey,
one thing I've learned about being in a reptile world is that when people purchase animals, 9 times out of 10, they didn't get the animal because they can support that animal through their entire life. They got the animal because they've seen the end result somewhere, and that's what they want. They're obsessed with that end result. So people, of course, go out and buy, a berm, a retic, a boa, because they want this big snake, and that's why power feeding is a thing. Next to people trying to rush through breeding, people also power feed because they feel like, oh well, when I'm hungry, I just eat until I'm full. Versus this snake isn't a human; it doesn't work like that. So. Right. They power feed, they feed it however often they feel like the snake is going to eat. And when the snake doesn't do what they expect it to do, or it's not going their way, then, oh, well, I don't have time for it. You never had time for it.
Right. I mean, you gotta have patience with all animals, I believe. But at the same time, if they kept in ideal conditions and, like you said, not power fed, like I said before, my large retics only eat once a month. And feeding them once a month, as you can see, they're not stunted in growth. They're growing. I couldn't imagine feeding them anymore. And I think that's what happens.
But they're getting those great big old snakes. They're getting decent sized meals. You know what I'm saying? And also, I find it to be better to grow out an animal. It's more enjoyable to me because then I can look back like, dang, I got this reptile this size, and I grew them all the way up to this. Like this. That instant gratification won't get you far.
Agreed.
It's bad in the reptile world.
Candy says she loves Amaretto Salvas too, and Candy's not an old lady.
Why am I not surprised?
Sir.
So
you can quit with the insults. All
right. That was the observation.
So let's hit your last key point, Dre, and I'm gonna hit my last key point. Wait,
what's my last key point? Something in my eye. Long ass eyelashes. What's my last key point?
I don't know. Make it. I'm gonna tell you what my last key point is.
Okay, yeah, you go first. I need time to think.
Owning reptiles is a privilege. I think it is one of the most expensive hobbies out there on all levels, from the purchase of the animal and the supplies. If you ever have to take an animal to the vet, you will find that we always thought dogs were expensive. Reptiles are way more expensive. But when you're teaching people about reptiles and you're educating them about them, that you have a responsibility to teach them the importance of proper handling,
husbandry,
the importance of being a member of USR, and the importance of trying to emulate, because we never can give them what they would get, as people say, in a while, but the best captive living experience that you can, that keeps them thriving, that keeps them healthy, that keeps them not in the news, because I think that's important too. Knowing where your local and state legislation stand with all the animals that you have, so there's never any legal issues that also may show in in the news. I think that reptile owners are viewed as the most irresponsible owners in the world right now, when really we have to be the most responsible, and in essence we probably are the most responsible because of the actual care we have to give to our animals all the time. And with that being said, I think that if you put all those things together, it's natural that you would effectively keep them. It won't be an issue of abuse or neglect or misrepresentation in the news or in the media. And it gives us the opportunity to grow on all other platforms with our reptiles. So that would be my ending point. Got it?
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us another Monday. Hey, Tammy, I didn't even see you come in. Thank you, Tammy. With everyone, have a great week. I hope you're starting your day off really, really well, and you're going to have a good week. Remember to tap into all the podcasts this week. There's so many now. I can't even keep up. But the important ones is definitely tomorrow, I think, is Adam Proper Royals, one of the ones that I try not to miss, especially when you want to know the business aspect of it. He focuses a lot on it. Keys on Wednesday at 8 p.m., balls and things. Thursday, Herp Collectors at 8 p.m. And Friday, Hair Down Fridays at 7. Reptiles and Cocktails at 1. Celtic Bowls at 7 on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then you have Fred and AJ where they do wake and bake. So they on for like 3 hours because it's 420 when they do their thing, and they hit it 420 in different parts of the country. And then I don't know, we got to work this out some kind of way. It collides with Ken Brewer, who comes on at 6:30, Craft Brewer. So we got to make sure that we support him as well. Thank you guys for always tapping in on Monday with us, and we'll see you later. Peace.